Okay, folks, we are on the last unit here, Unit B, Reproduction and Development. And we're going to do the reproduction part this week, and we'll look at development next week. So how do reproductive systems function and ensure survival of the species? What mechanisms are responsible for regulating reproductive systems? What are the major processes and events of human embryonic fetal and development, embryonic fetal development, how do reproductive technologies affect functioning of the reproductive systems, and what impact do these technologies have on society? Okay, so let's just remind ourselves, reproduction involves the fusion of N plus N forming 2N, okay? This is fertilization. So the fusion, if you recall from alternation of generations, some of the discussions we had there. Fertilization is the fusion of gametes to produce diploid cells, okay? And species of violence depend on producing numerous and varied offspring. So this is the tie-in with evolution. We get variation through two forms, sexual reproduction and mutations. And that produces variations. Okay, gonads. When we talk about the word gonads, we're talking about the ovaries and the testes. Progesterone, estrogen in the ovaries, testosterone in the testes, and the gametes that are produced are eggs and sperm. And we've gone through this. In a zygote, N plus N forms 2N. That's our first diploid cell is referred to as a zygote. And this in turn forms a ball of cells, an embryo and a fetus, which we'll look at next week. So when we go through identify the structures of the male system, we've got to go through these different parts. And you can stop the video and try and label this and see how you make out from the textbook. And the answers are on the next page. So I am going to go on to the next page now. So what you should have labeled is the ureter, okay, from the kidneys down to the bladder. Okay, our story is going to start in the testes. The pouch is the scrotum that's nested in. Okay, above the testis is the epididymis, and this is where sperm are stored and mature. And the testis is where they're produced, along with testosterone. And then we have several glands. Cowpers, also known as the bulbo urethral, releases a lubricant. Prostate is the largest of the seminal glands, and this produces an alkaline white milky substance, okay, that buffers the acidic contents of the vagina. The ejaculatory duct, okay, prevents the mixing of semen with urine. And seminal vesicle is another gland mostly producing fructose, which is energy for the sperm as they're ejaculated out. Okay, and here we've got the covering of the penis. The most sensitive part is the head or the glands, okay, where nerve endings are, the penis, the urethra, and the ductus deferens. Now, this is also called the vas deferens, okay? And so this is the passageway for sperm that get ejaculated out, okay? So for males, we have both a urinary and reproductive tract, okay, in one. So the urethra um, is passageways for both urine and sperm, unlike females. And here's just another diagram of it right there. Okay, so the scrotum sac, now it actually has a cremaster muscle. We'll look at that in a moment. That allows the testes to move up and down, okay? And this is required because spermatogenesis, the production of sperm here, occurs at just slightly less than 37 degrees Celsius. Now this diagram here is a cross-section of what we call a seminiferous tubule. And inside and outside of these seminiferous tubules, so imagine there's a tubule here, another tubule here. Outside of them are these interstitial cells that make testosterone. And inside, crammed between the developing sperm, are Sertoli cells that nourish the sperm and produce inhibin. Okay, and we'll look at that in a moment. So those are the different parts. So the whole this is a cross section of a seminiferous tubule, and notice there's many of these seminiferous tubules that are producing sperm. Here we go. We go from our primordial germ follicle to production through meiosis of 4 haploid sperm, starting with um, mitotic division and then meiotic division. Primary would be N, and then secondary would be N as well. Okay, we get our reduction division. Now, these cremaster muscles, what they do is they allow the testicle to move up and down the scrotal sac, okay? So when it's really hot outside, they descend to cool for spermatogenesis. When it's really cold, jump in a cold pool, they suck right up by the body. Okay, so the sperm route goes from epididymis to through the vas deferens, ejaculatory duct. Sperm mixes with various fluid from the cowpers, seminal, and prostate, and out through the urethra. And remember, obviously, it was made in the seminiferous tubules, okay, where meiosis occurs. And the semen is the fluid composed of sperm and ejaculatory fluid. So the sperm are microscopic. You can't see them. Okay, they're super small. Okay, so the fluid that comes out, the semen, okay, is like 2 to 3 milliliters. Okay, like a couple of teaspoons. Very very small amount, really. Okay, good old erection. Yeah. Hope you see the humor in that. Okay, all right. So let's just take a look at it. The shaft of the penis is made up of what's called spongiosum tissue. Okay, so spongiosum, which means it can be filled. It's spongy. It can be filled with blood. So as the penile artery through sexual stimulation um, um, it engorges with blood, that's under parasympathetic nervous stimulation. So an ejaculation is sympathetic, but the erection is parasympathetic. Okay, so blood is going to move in, and as it moves in, it prevents blood from leaving because it pushes against the veins. Okay, and that causes hydrostatic pressure, and up it goes. Unlike most mammals, which have a penis bone, a baculum, like whales, dogs, penis bone, only some primates it's purely hydrostatic pressure. Okay, so pressure from the blood. Uh, yeah, sphincter at the base of the bladder closes. Semen enters urethra, pushed out by muscle contractions. Good old peristalsis. Just like swallowing, smooth muscle contractions. Yep, and you can read about that. Same kind of thing. It just shows a little bit more in terms of the artery coming in, compressing, and preventing blood from going out. Up it goes. Okay, on distinguish sperm from their supporting structures. Okay, sperm made for speed, being filled with many mitochondria and have a limited energy supply. And the Sertoli cells nourish the developing sperm. We've looked at those before. So the anatomy, the first part is the head, and the head has a cap um, filled with enzymes that can penetrate the egg layer, which we'll look at next week. And also in the head is the nucleus. The mid piece contains centrioles and mitochondria. Okay, and this is for energy, ATP, for the flagella, the third part, to whip. Okay, so 3 parts of the sperm anatomy. And when we take a look at this, you can stop the video and see if you can fill these in from the textbook. Epididymis, seminiferous tubules. Notice the interstitial cells between. Okay, developing sperm, and what's wedged between them are Sertoli cells that nourish the developing sperm. And these are the different parts of the um, what's it called? The sperm. Goodness me, I'm losing my marbles. Okay, so yeah, 3 to 4 millimeters. So very small amount. Seminal vesicle, as we said, fructose, and on the crossword for endocrine, one of the words was a hormone called prostaglandins. These have very localized effects, and they help with muscle contraction in the female reproductive tract. So the seminal vesicles releases that. Prostate is the alkaline buffer because the vagina is acidic. Okay, so it buffers the contents of the acidic contents of the vagina. And the bulbourethral or Kelpus gland, mucus filled fluid to protect sperm, but also to for lubricant as well. Okay, so quite often we call this considered a pre-ejaculatory fluid. It comes out before the ejaculation. Okay, great video, and if you want to watch some good old gory stuff on the old circumcision of the foreskin, why not? Okay, so give those fill in those slides, be able to label those things, and that's the mail system. And definitely watch the video; it will nicely encapsulate everything.